On the last episode of Sheila Lives Out Loud.
Shannon Muruli, she is a woman who actually lives in the U.S. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and I'm just excited to be here. The Westlands, Kenya is just an amazing place to visit. I'm married to Robert Muruli, who happens to be here from Nairobi, Kenya.
Right.
So it's just a pleasure to see where he was born and raised and to experience all the beauty. But beyond that, I am a woman who attended Florida A&M University, received my bachelor's in psychology and master's in public health. And I've always had this interest in learning how and why we all do what we do, especially when it comes to our mind and then having the courage to live out the dreams that I believe that the Creator has given to us. And so with that path, I decided to pay attention to my own journey. I've had a lot of things that I've wanted to do in my 20s and now I would say in my late 20s. But I was afraid. I was afraid most of the time. And I would look at people that I admired and looked at people who had success in the industries that I wanted to go into. And I would always think, well, gosh, I can do exactly what they're doing. I could get out there and I could see how they're able to achieve the success, but why am I not able to do that? And so that made me refer back to my studies, my psychology, and learning more about the mind and what creates this amount of fear that holds us back from living out loud, living out our purpose.
There we go, and that's the name of the show.
Yes.
Live Out Loud, really.
Absolutely, and so that's why I'm excited to be here today, because I believe that there are so many women out there who want to live out loud, who want to live their purpose and their dreams out loud, but there is a part of them that holds them back.
Struggling moments when it comes to balancing the books and keeping the dream alive.
Yeah.
Tapping into that passion and tapping into that inner strength that keeps you going.
Yeah.
What would you recommend? Because it gets difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, not only is the world going to be questioning you and criticizing you, you will get to a point where you wake up in the mirror and ask yourself, hang on,
Yeah.
what exactly is this and what did I sign up for?
Yeah.
Because there are all sorts of things that will happen that you didn't envision happening,
Yeah.
but they happen anyway.
Yeah.
So staying the course.
Those non-ideal moments is what I call it in my book, the Do It Afraid book. Non-ideal moments are going to happen whether you're prepared for them or not. One of the things that I do, and I talk about in the book, I enjoy working out. But I don't enjoy working out for the physical, I guess, outcome.
Benefits,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's just a part of the process you're going to get from it. It's an extra bonus. Exactly.
Yes, but it is not the purpose.
But what I like about working out is the transformation, not just physically, but starting with the mind. You begin to see yourself, possibly if you don't have any muscles in your arms or any other part of your body, you begin to see that part of your body break down and then build back up. And I think that's very similar to what happens in business or any project that you're starting. You're going to feel that breakdown, and the breakdown it never feels good. It hurts, it stings afterwards. You go into the gym, if you've never done it before, you see all these people who are fit, they're looking good, and you're thinking, how can I lose my 20 pounds to get to whatever they're getting to? But what I decided to do in that process is take my focus off of everybody else in the room and put all that focus on Shannon. And when I began to do that, I began to see the little bits of transformation start to happen. And then I started working out in front of people that I knew that were really fit, just so I could feel what it would be like to possibly be criticized or looked upon as the amateur or the girl who didn't know really what she was doing. All of that I began to apply to my business because I believe that physical transformation is much bigger than just, what we see on the outside. It's about the inner transformation. And so one of the things I do recommend to my clients is start a physical regimen. Begin to see yourself transforming into that strong person that you know that you are. But sometimes we need to see it. And going back to validation, I can tell you all day that you are strong enough to get through it. I can tell you all day that you are worthy. But when you begin to physically see that happening and you begin to witness it in your mind each and every time that you leave that gym, it's a euphoric feeling that you don't need anyone to validate it. You know you've put in the work and the time and the effort in that gym. and you walk out knowing that you can apply that same regimen to any other area of your life.
Right. I love it, love it, love it. You make me want to go to the gym right now. But talking about scaling up,
Yeah.
because you cannot get too comfortable either.
Right.
You can put in the time
Yeah.
and see the changes. And once the change happens,
plateau,
once you're where you
Yeah.
should be, the temptation to sit back and say, yeah,
I've done it.
it's right there.
Yeah.
But that's probably a very dangerous place
It's
to
a very
find
dangerous
yourself.
place to be in. And you can get there very easily because you have put in the work. And it's like, I've made it, now I can sit back and relax. There's an artist in the US, her name is Janelle Monáe, and song from a couple of years ago where she talked about the tightrope. And the tightrope was basically whether you're high or whether you're low, you got to keep that tightrope. And the tightrope is all about, not waiting for anyone to praise you or looking for the praises or not focusing on the lows. You just stay focused on the end goal. You stay focused on what your goal is. And that's why I believe that we're constantly setting new goals to constantly challenge ourselves, because we will hit a plateau if we don't. So I think that that can be a very dangerous place, but we have to understand there are going to be highs and there are going to be lows, but regardless of what's happening, you just keep that tightrope and keep moving forward.
Right. So don't sit on either side.
Don't sit
of
on
the
either
tightrope,
side. No.
because it's changing.
It's changing.
And it's up to you to decide whether it's
Exactly.
going to change for the better or it's going to take you down, and you'll just be thinking, "But I was here. What
Yeah.
happened? And I want to go back there."
And it's so interesting. I mean, the artist Beyonce. I mean, how many new artists are coming out every single day around the world? But one of the things I think that sets her apart, she's constantly looking at how she can evolve and to rebrand herself. Now, does she have to do it like the way she's continuously doing it? No, but she understands that there is probably somebody out there who's a little bit younger, who's a little bit wiser, or whatever the case may be. So she's constantly finding that competitive edge to set herself apart. And that comes from, again, not getting complacent with the highs or the lows, just keeping that tightrope. And that means keeping your focus on the end goal.
All right. Focusing on the end goal, because we understand the end goal is it constantly changes.
It constantly
because once you
changes.
get to one
Yeah.
milestone, you've got to create another.
Absolutely.
Diversifying, because the temptation for many women in business, for instance, is because you were so successful with one particular arm that you can extend the same principles to something else that you may not even but you just think it's business. So if I
Yeah.
can do this with this shop, then I'm going to open the pharmacy, and then I'm also going to get the butchery, and then I'm also going to
know.
put up the farm, and we'll all live happily ever after.
Yeah.
But it doesn't quite work like
No.
that.
I believe that it pays to become a master in one thing. It pays to become amazing. I'm talking about drilling it down to where you are the guru, you are the expert. And I think because most people, especially women, we do have a lot of different passions, and we think because we have different passions that we can do all of them at the same time. And I struggled with that a lot. I even talk about it in my book, I struggled with, because I have an interest in fashion, because I have an interest in fitness, because I have an interest in hair and all these other things, I tried to do a little bit of all of them at the same time, and it was an epic fail. Lesson learned,
But a
though.
lesson
But the
learned,
lesson
yeah.
behind it was, Shannon, master one thing, master the art of encouraging women. That's what I do. Helping people create a life of courage. That's what I do effortlessly. Now that I've done that for a while, I start to bring in a little bit more of my passions into the School of Courage for Women. But that's now how I initially started out, And so I believe that you master one thing, become so good at that thing to where you can do it in your sleep. You become known for that. And then you start adding in little bits of your personality. But I wouldn't recommend going off and starting 5 different businesses at one time, especially when you're first starting out. You need to become a master that person can look at and say, oh, Sheila, who does these amazing, videos for us, they know you for that. And so I think that's where most people fall short, because they just try to do too many things at one time. As John C. Maxwell states, chasing 2 rabbits at the same time, you can't catch them both.
Oh, no. It's inevitable, but somehow life teaches us and convinces us,
Yeah.
or maybe cons us that we can, and
Yeah.
then we try, and then we're left empty and upset and a little bitter. But you've just mentioned a book,
Yeah.
and I want to know a little bit more about this book. What's it called?
Yeah, so it's called the Do It Afraid book. And the Do It Afraid book is all about why some of the most aspiring, ambitious women are afraid to launch their dreams. And so it's basically a resource that will help the aspiring woman who wants to start launching her dream, but she's afraid to do it. And so it's giving her some of the reasons why she may be afraid to, and then some action steps where she can begin to cultivate the courage to do the thing, even if she is afraid, on how to do it anyway.
And I like the title of the book because it's frightening.
Yeah.
Going into business, starting something new, going off
Yeah.
into the unknown
Yeah.
is pretty scary
It
stuff.
is. But we can look at it as scary, or we can look at it as some type of just
Adventure.
a adventure or a different part of ourselves that we've never ever shared with the world. And I think when we can just shift our mind from thinking, this is scary, to something that, I'm just going to share a different part of myself, and I think that is even more authentic than what we are actually sharing if you're not, and that's another thing I talk about in the book, having core values, and one of my core values is authenticity. And I believe that for a long time I wasn't authentic because I was not sharing, those parts of me that I believe really that most people would have enjoyed getting to know. It would have been, that person that I am now. And that's why I'm so excited about this journey, because it is my story. School of Courage for Women is my story. The book is a big part of my story, and I'm just sharing some of the things that I've done and continue to do along the way to help other women on the path.
Still on the issue of authenticity.
Yes.
It's not just about having your own voice and being true to who you are and what you were designed to be and do. I can't help but think about people who look at other people's stories and journeys and experiences and think, well, because you're doing that, then I should be doing that too.
Exactly.
And here's my new book.
Yes.
And there
yes.
you go. What do you say to people like that?
I say that it is great to be inspired by others, but it is never great to imitate anyone. It's never great for anybody, especially you, the individual, because what happens is it may feel okay in the beginning. And I'm talking to the woman who's just starting, especially you. It may feel okay, but it's going to feel even better to even make those slight mistakes, those little slight errors, and then go back and course correct, because what you'll experience, you'll develop your own difference, your own brand, your own voice. And I think that's a big part of being authentic. It's so much easier to copy someone else. It's so much easier to imitate someone else. But at the end of the day, you want to be inspired by your own work. You want to look at it and say, wow, I use my infinite intelligence, I use my creativity, and I've developed something that not only makes me feel great about what I'm doing, but someone else can be inspired by my work. And I think that is what authenticity is all about. It's about, like you said, it's not just about your voice. It's about your creativity. It's about the difference that God put you on this earth to share with the world. And that's what it's just all about.
Right. I love it. You put it so simply and so effortlessly. I wish it was the same in everyday life, but we know some people are going to learn the hard way and correct course.
Yes.
And in speaking about correcting course, there comes a point when you've stepped out of the line, that you may not be thriving, you may not be doing what you should be doing, and sometimes doing what you should be doing is correcting course and saying, I can't keep going this way. My pride needs to break down so that I can live to, fight another day. So let's talk about when the lesson is clear, but the pride is in the way.
The pride is in the way.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Because I'm sure that's a common experience too.
Man, I'm telling you, about a year or two ago, I was kind of in a situation where I had already launched my business. It was under a different name. And I stepped away for a little while just because I needed to pause, And that pause was initially supposed to be for about a week or two. And then it turned into a month, then it turned to a whole year, right? And then I got a little bit nervous about coming back. And I had a group of friends who pretty much cornered me in a car one evening. And they were like, well, Shannon, what's the problem here? Why don't we see you, sharing your message anymore? And I told them that I was a little ashamed. I didn't know how to come back. I didn't know how I was going to show back up for all of those women who were supporting me, at that point. My pride, I didn't tell them my pride was in the way, but I had this pride, like I didn't want to be seen as that person who gave up, or the person who kind of left them just by the wayside. And what I learned in that moment is that people are not looking for perfection. People want to know, yes, that this did happen, but just coming back and having the courage to show up again, to share what happened on that journey. Why did it take me, that long to really have a pause? And it was really a year of self-assessing, a year of evaluating, why was I doing what I was doing? What are some of the fears that held me back, during my first, experience with my business? And so I believe that it's not pride that's going to really get you to the next level. And I think that has a lot to do with perfectionism, wanting to appear perfect. Again, people don't want perfect. People want your best. You can't ever get to your best self if you're constantly wanting to be perfect, because it's not possible, right? And so just showing up and striving to be a woman of excellence and having a courage to do that every single day, that's what inspires people. That's what people want.
I could talk to you all day. I think I have. I've kept you waiting all day as well. But thank you for being such a great sport, Shannon.
Absolutely.
Where can we find your book?
So you can go to shannonmuruli.com, shannonmuruli.com, and you'll go under the section that says the book, and it'll be there for you to access. You can also find me on social media outlets like Instagram under Shannon Muruli, and also on Facebook at Shannon Muruli also, and it'll link you to School of Courage for Women. I'm on there every single day posting about ways to help women pretty much disrupt those behaviors and beliefs that hold them back from creating a life that they crave, and helping them cultivate the courage to do that.
And if you are where you should be, the sky's the limit. So
yes.
stop pecking the ground.
Stop
Enough
pecking,
with that.
stop pecking. Just be bold enough to do it. And I understand that can be a scary thing, but that's where women like me come into play, who simply want to help you cultivate the courage, because it's there, but it's just like that muscle I talked about in the gym. It just needs to be, it just needs to be, it just needs to be cultivated just a little bit more.
Thank you so very much
you
for making
having
the
me.
time. The door remains open to Living Out Loud. I know we've only just begun the first of a series
Absolutely.
of conversations on empowerment, on the next level, because you can only do so much and the same thing for so long before then everything changes.
Absolutely.
And it's time for that change. Thank you so very much, Shannon, for being here with us. We are so grateful. Remember, the doors are open to Living Out Loud, and any other books, seminars, sessions, we're right there with you.
Thank you.
I promise. And you're going to find links to her social media sites by simply logging on to my social media sites. They're right there. Yes, go for it. Pick up the book. Find that mentorship that you're looking for. And this year, be the baddest, be the best. We're signing out from Westwood Hotel. Thank you for finding this channel. Remember to click subscribe and, of course, on notifications so you never miss a single moment of the show. Bye for now, and live out loud in all ways.